Okay, I think I want to let me talk through this because I think I hit. Um, oh, let me do one more thing. Okay. I think this really hits a lot of the themes, and I think this needs to be like a happy path. Um, which is kind of funny, happy path. Um, I do believe that I can hit F11 if I can see well enough to do it, or maybe. Um, I believe. Um, I want to get rid of the you are blah 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 view film strip. Why is this so small? Is it because I'm sharing this? All right, I don't know why this is so small. Let me see if there's a. I think that's probably good enough. I don't know why it does this. Oh, you know what though? Let me try one more thing real quick. It says Zoom menu, Control Alt, open bracket. Control Alt open bracket. Okay, that's going to be as good as I get, I guess. Okay, so let me talk through this. If it'll let me switch through here. Yeah, I can even stay here now. So this is pretty much a summary of sort of everything that this touches on most of the elements of my system. And I've gotten it to be very, very simple. Let me go. I want to put one more word over here. We need to go. Okay, I just want to fit this recipe idea in here. And the reason is to describe a system, you don't really, it can be overwhelming to talk about every possible nuance and exception about a system. In engineering, they call it like corner cases, right? You've got these exceptions, and if there is, if there's anything true about my system and what I think any system would be, is that it's skill, practice, and habit, right? Let me put this over here real quick. I want to say something about bugs, and maybe investment. It bears mentioning. So we'll put this over on the right hand side, because that is a theme. And at the top of this slide, we talked about this idea of happy path and recipe. And the idea here is to present the solution, with an understanding that there are really a whole lot of nuances. Life throws us a lot of different things. And what I find that I'm doing all the time is saying, I understand Gmail, I understand calendar, I understand notifications, and I'm always kind of making decisions about where to put things. And to the extent that I can kind of decide that, hey, this kind of thing goes there and this kind of thing goes here, and it can be more systemic. I can make fewer decisions. I feel more comfortable with having things a little bit more set in stone. I think it just makes me be more aware, more in the moment, when I kind of don't have to think so much. And it's especially true with being in the mindfulness state, which is this anxiety. Let's do this. I think that's okay for now. So all of this is about being anxiety free. I'm almost thinking that that's really what we're talking about, being anxiety free. I think this is pretty good. I'm starting to put a few other things on the right. And I can take this mindfulness off of here. And then we can put this put these down here. Actually, it kind of fits a little bit better up here, doesn't it? Here, let's do this. These things over here are kind of comments about things. And these things over here are the real like recipe of this. Okay. So when you look at this, see if I can get this to be small enough, because I don't want to give any of this up. Let's just do this for now. I do not want to give up any of this title. This title is so powerful for me personally, because anxiety is the reason why I declared this vendetta. And when I first felt let me back up a second. I think the first I declared my vendetta on my memory issue. So it was first memory. I'm just gonna put this in there. So that was the thing. It was like I realized that ADHD was a thing. I knew that my memory was terrible my whole life, but in typical ADHD fashion, I think I just blamed myself for being lazy or something, or just basically just generally being dumb, right? Or just flighty, spacey, that kind of thing. And so the moment that I Googled short-term memory problem, and I saw ADHD all over the place. I started looking at ADHD, and of course, it's my whole life. It explains my entire life. So I declared a vendetta. I declared this vendetta against this memory issue. And then something amazing happened. For the first time in my life, it's like I felt anxiety free. I never knew I had anxiety. I always thought I was just hyper and creative and spacey and scattered and just all this, extremely creative kind of thing. But when I started to kind of figure out how to accommodate just basic working memory issues and just using my phone to solve this, which I'm pretty good at doing this stuff because I'm a data architect. I'm a systems person. I'm a lifelong computer geek. And the moment that I started to kind of get a grip on even just kind of how to start to remember stuff, it's like this anxiety just kind of began to lift. I had a huge advantage of mindfulness. So I need to put that here. I don't even have it here. So being into mindfulness was an absolutely crucially important advantage that I had coming into this. Also, being an architect. I think this is the story. I think this, like, I have the story on the top and along the right hand side over here. I don't know if you can see my cursor or not. Oopsies. And then on the left hand column is the system. And let's see, 7:24. I've got 6 minutes. Okay, so real quick, the overall thing about this is that it's going to take investment. Let me even this up. Actually, let's not. Let's leave it there. So there's a couple of themes here. So along the top, we have this vendetta against memory. The first time I ever felt anxiety free. And then I shifted my vendetta because I had solved the memory issue. And then I wanted to start attacking anxiety. And so I did have this anxiety about forgetting things, and it ties to so many different things. I almost think I want to throw in breadcrumbs. Let me just toss in breadcrumbs here because it's so important. We'll just throw those in there. Okay. So we have this vendetta to be anxiety free. And there is the most important theme of my entire vendetta against all this is that I want to be mindful. I want to be in the moment, at the very least, like day by day. Like, let me figure out today what's going on today. But I want to have a feeling. I want to feel comfortable in the fact that there's nowhere else I need to be and nothing else I need to be doing, because I had a massive advantage having been into mindfulness for years, and very, very heavily for a good year or two before I even discovered the ADHD thing. And there's a whole story behind like how I stumbled into mindfulness. YouTube introduced me to my teacher, who introduced me to the idea that mindfulness is something that can be persistent. It can permeate your life, can saturate your entire day. And that was like, whoa, like that. I love that. I just even having the idea of that. Okay, so that's all that. And what this slide's going to do, and what I'm going to be doing in this presentation, is just the happy path recipe. I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to give you the instructions for this without explaining everything underneath of the design, because it's unbelievable, like how many bugs there are with the phone, and almost everything I do is going to be on the phone, and iOS is absolute shit. The notification system is dangerous. The alarm system is dangerous. Gmail has even Gmail was my example of how of really the only example that I knew of an application that was reliable, and it has failed me as well with the way that syncing is happening in labels, and I don't care whether it's whose fault it is. It just doesn't work. The labels do not work. And so that threw me for a loop. So anyway, what I'm using, the way that I am approaching this solution is using the absolute total fundamental most simple parts of all of these apps. And that is simply because they don't work. But the simple part of these, like, people aren't going to put up with an alarm that doesn't go off, when they get fired from their job. So Apple is not going to fuck around with the alarm. Apple's pretty much, the calendar app has to at least be reasonably reliable. And if anything, it can maybe have false positives where it's doing weird notifications when you shouldn't be getting them, but there's not going to be gaps. You have Gmail. Well, anyway, so what I want to use is I want to use these core features. You've got notifications, you've got calendar, and you got Gmail. And I think that's really all we're using, other than when you get into things like the Notes app, and even going into other places where you're really trying to document and work through problems and stuff like that. But we're not talking about that here. I will be, because that's part of life too, is problem solving and stuff like that. Okay, so here is this is the way that I do this. So every morning, it doesn't need to be in the morning, but this is just the way I do it. And again, I don't want to like preface every single thing. What I would encourage you to do is to ask me if you think something, would work if you change it. And then I can tell you whether I think it'll work if you change it, because I know, because I've done everything. But don't just carte blanche, just take this and just change. I mean, you can, but you're going to it's going to put you on a path to disappointment. Unless you're very careful or you already really, really know the phone. Okay. So every morning I do Gmail review. So my inbox of Gmail, and I use these two methods. It's not even really SEAM. It's really more Atom. So SEAM is sleep, eat, exercise, and meditate. So that's really more like my routine, which you'll see below. And then, but Atom is really where I'm starting to challenge myself every single morning in everything I do and everything I put on my calendar, at least what I put on my calendar. And that is what would, just thinking about the average person, it's a little more detailed, but just like, hey, does the average person do this? Am I being too perfectionistic? How does the average person do this? Does the average person do this? What does the average person do that I'm not doing? What am I doing that they don't do? But in the simplest part of the average person is, does the average person do this? And it's very powerful. And I can get into it, but basically one example would be, does the average person go to the gym every day? Well, no, they don't. Does the average person make all of their own meals and eat clean? No. Well, maybe that's why does the average person meditate every day? No. Well, okay, maybe that's why I'm kind of sort of busy, right? I do all these things that I want to do and I like to do, but they do take time. But I've just chosen to live my life like this. And other people, like, why can other people go to the bar? Why every night? Why are people able to go to the park on Saturday morning, and somehow I'm not able to do those fun things? Well, it's because I'm doing other things. I'm playing guitar, I'm performing, I'm in the gym, I'm meditating, I'm eating clean and cooking, going to the grocery and all that kind of stuff, and it's fine. So that's A. D is damage. So when I'm evaluating whether I need to do something or not, I ask the question, if I don't do this, will there be real damage today? So if I don't do this today, is there going to be any real damage? And what is that damage? The second A in Adam is accumulate. So, if there's something I do every day, will actually something accumulate? Is my backlog of tasks going to grow if I don't do this thing today? And on the flip side of that is the M in Adam, and that is whether it matters or not. If something, whether it matters tomorrow. The example, the real life example for me is, I spend a lot of time, I used to, not anymore, but I used to spend a lot of time playing guitar. But it was purely for fun. Sometimes I have projects like demos and promotions and stuff like that. But most of the time I'm just enjoying playing guitar, and I have a creative pull to play the guitar, and I want to, it's like a validation of something. But tomorrow it's not going to matter. If I'm just playing guitar for fun, tomorrow it's not going to matter. So it's fleeting, right? And there are a lot of things like that. So that's the second M, and that accumulate thing and the matters thing all kind of go together, right? And of course the damage thing does too, because it will matter tomorrow, because I'm going to create damage tomorrow. If I don't, if I didn't like to exercise, there are still reasons to exercise, because of it's going to matter tomorrow whether you exercise today. You can't make up for not exercising today unless you're doing like a 4-day-a-week thing or whatever. Okay. Or eating well. You can't make up. Theoretically you can reverse things, but you can't change the fact that you ate that pizza. You can't make up for that tomorrow. Okay. And so I go through my Gmail tasks, and I'm now in 3.0, I'm leaving my discretionary tasks in Gmail. So let's not worry about what it was before. So discretionary tasks are those things that don't meet really the Adam test. They could be things that are accumulating, so there's degrees of this, but essentially they're not things that I must do. So I consider them to be discretionary tasks. So when I evaluate things under the Adam principle, I kind of decide hey, what are the things I really do? Like today, there's one thing. I think there's just one thing that I need to do today, other than the seam or my routine stuff, and anything else that comes in from the universe and in my job. Right? There's one thing that I have to do differently today, and that is I need to cook. So tonight I need to cook, and that's it. Now, while I'm cooking, I can be doing other things. Like I work in my meditation while I'm waiting for things during the cooking process. That's great. But there's other things, discretionary things that I can kind of pick off, or maybe if I get through the eat, exercise, meditate routine, then, and I have a little bit of time left, and tonight be cooking, do I have any other time left? I might pick off some of these other discretionary tasks. Those are all in Gmail. I'm keeping those discretionary tasks in Gmail because there's no point in adding them to a calendar or anything, because they're discretionary. Because they're discretionary, they're binary non-sequencing. Binary. I'm going to mention binary non-sequencing. I have to do that because of binary non-sequencing, there's just no point in adding anything into the calendar. And I've been working on this for a while to get like Gmail and the calendar to work together. And so binary non-sequencing in short is a theory that says you don't need to sequence or prioritize among the must do's for today, because they all need to be done. Similarly, you don't have to sequence or prioritize among the discretionary things for today, because none of them need to be done. So if you don't have to sequence or manipulate them in any way, just keep them in a list. And that's the idea with leaving things in Gmail. So I just leave them there. And then at any point in time, if I just want them out of my way, then I can do that. Anyway, this is badass. So I think I'm going to stop here, and then, because I was just creating this today, and then I'm going to do, I'll talk about it in the next one.